Hello and welcome to another video and podcast from FantasyFootballScout.co.uk. My name is David and today we're going to have a look at one of the hot topics in FPL right now, which is what to do with Ben Chilwell, because of course he started the season as almost a must-own in many people's teams, but unfortunately named on the bench for Chelsea's draw with Bournemouth at the weekend, and very, very quickly fantasy managers have become disillusioned with him, as obviously the allure of the Newcastle defensive options, Kieran Trippier, is a sort of similar price point, and so he is already short of 235,000 managers who owned him in Game Week 5 going into Game Week 6. He is the most sold defender for that round as well. And so with that jettisoning of owners, sometimes the uncertainty around a price fall can, in the end, trigger even more sales. So I know there's a lot of people out there wondering what to do with him. I'm also a Chilwell owner, and I am a little bit, I have been uncertain as to what to do with him. So I thought I'd record a short video to give you my thoughts. I did my team selection video on Wednesday, and I promised some more research would go into what to do with Chilwell, and specifically I've also got cash as well. I was sort of umming and ahhing about which of those two to actually start. I've done that research now, so I thought I'd bring that to you guys in this video. There's quite a lot of information from the Fantasy Football Scout members area, so as ever, I will flog that until the cows come home. If you've not sorted out your membership, you can still get the 30% off with the pre-season prices. Make sure you've sorted that out before the Game Week 6 deadline. It will help you answer some of the many questions you've got for your team. Chilwell might be an issue you're not looking to deal with, and you've got other questions perhaps. If you've got your membership, then you don't need to rely so heavily on me and the video schedule. But yeah, let's have a look at the Chilwell topic in some more detail. And we're going to start off by looking at what you guys are doing with him. I've obviously mentioned already what we have seen just overall with Chilwell owners, but sometimes it's quite useful to have a look at what we refer to as more engaged managers, and that's largely those who consume a lot of fantasy content. You know, if you're watching this, that's the sort of people we're competing against. And so just being able to focus in on that specific data set, I think, is quite useful. And very handily enough, the editorial team have done a brilliant article on this particular topic this week. It's written by Tom Freeman. Many of you will know just how good he is. I think it's 5 times in the top 1K. He's written an article which includes this poll. There's a little bit of input from Zofar and Gianni as well, two pro pundits who, of course, are Chelsea fans. And yeah, what we've got on the screen right now is the poll results. We asked Fantasy Football Scout readers what you're doing with him for Game Week 6. Now, 40% of you did say you were selling him. 32% said that you would be selling him by the Game Week 9 fixture swing, and 27.17% of you said you would be keeping him for the foreseeable future. And so while there is a big chunk of you out there who are planning to sell him, or maybe you already have sold him for Game Week 6, it's quite, considering that there's over 50% or just under 60% of you saying that you won't be selling him for Game Week 6. You will either sell him further down the line or keep him for a bit longer. There's quite a divide here. And so in many ways, it's become this week's 50-50. What are you doing with Chilwell? Selling him? Are you keeping him? Bit of a coin flip. So that's why we're going to have a look at it in more detail. So we'll start off by having a look at his positioning, because this is quite important in my opinion. In his time at Chelsea, Chilwell has largely been a defensive asset, either as a fullback or a wing-back. But in the first 4 game weeks, he has very much been deputising as a left winger. And of course, that's happened because there's been unavailable players at Chelsea. There have been some injuries as well. And, Pochettino's talked quite extensively about this, so we've got a quote on the screen here. All the coaching staff feel disappointed when you lose players to injury. Of course, it affects the team, but we need to accept it and adapt. We need to find solutions with different players playing in different positions to try to get the best balance. Ben is a fullback who can help the team in a different position. In 4 games, he has created more chances than any player, and in the national team last week, Ben also played in a similar position. So Pochettino is not necessarily unhappy with what Chilwell has done so far. And the numbers aren't bad either, so, it's only been 1 assist in the first 4 matches, but he has been involved in a lot of attacking moments. And so we would largely expect that if given the chance, he can perhaps improve on some of his attacking actual output based on what he's doing on the pitch. So he's ranked joint 3rd amongst defenders for shots in the box so far, joint 4th for chances created as well. So goal, threat and assist potential all there. Of course, also had that goal he scored against Liverpool in Game Week 1 ruled out by VAR. It was rightfully ruled out, which I say as objectively as I can as a Chilwell owner on that particular day. But on a different day, maybe a slight delaying of the run or whatever, because I think it was offside. that's a goal, and that's a big 6 points, possibly an extra 9 points if he swings some bonus. So he's a high upside player, and it's worth remembering that. And I think that we're going to talk about his role within the team in a minute. I think the fact that he was benched against Bournemouth has perhaps maybe led us to forget what he can do when he's at his best. And what we've got on the screen right now, as well as that quote, is his heat map for the season so far. And yeah, it does look particularly exciting. Most of his touches are coming in the opponent's half. There's loads of penalty box entries quite near the dead ball line, which is nice to see as well. So the potential is there. Selling this guy, you will have to accept you are selling someone who, on his day, can go big, and it's worth remembering that. But, of course, now let's talk about what triggered all of this, really, because there was a couple of disappointing scores based around Chelsea's performance in the last few weeks. Clean sheets not kept where they should have been, things like that. But the big thing is, of course, the fact that he did not start the game against Bournemouth, which we felt like was an opportunity for him to get back on the horse. FPL points-wise, an easy fixture for them. And, of course, it did keep a clean sheet, but no clean sheet points for Chilwell. So that has made people very nervous. So we do have to talk about this. And so what we got out of Pochettino from the Bournemouth game was Pochettino suggesting that he wanted a, quote, more offensive player on the left wing. Not necessarily someone who's a bit more rude, someone who's just a little bit more attacking minded, or perhaps historically played in a more attacking position. So that's why Modric was the one who came in for him, who of course is more of an attacking player. And the quote from Pochettino was, I think we're going to play with Modric in the position that we normally have been playing Chilwell. We will play with a more offensive player and keep the back four. And it was Chilwell who actually played left back in that particular game. And it's also worth noting we had a sort of similar-ish situation develop in game week 4 when Chelsea were 1-0 down at home to Nottingham Forest, and they wanted a little bit more in the way of attacking penetration. And so Madueke was put on in place of Chilwell just after the hour mark. Again, just looking to provide a little bit more attacking insight or perhaps maybe a little bit more attacking quality. Chilwell's definitely a persistent attacker, but because he's obviously created a lot of chances, obviously had lots of shots as well compared to other defenders. But you would expect midfield players and attacking players to perhaps know how to finish those opportunities a little bit better. Perhaps that was the thinking there. There was also possible discussions on Sunday about maybe a small knock that was mentioned in the Sky Sports commentary. That hasn't been verified anywhere else. The editorial team have confirmed. So it's possible that might have been a bit of a misunderstanding in terms of why he wasn't in the team. So largely it would appear a tactical decision, which arguably is worse. Because if he had a small knock, then we might feel a little bit more confident that he's going to come straight back into the team for game week 6, for example. The fact that it was tactical is a bit concerning. However, it is worth pointing out that Modric didn't necessarily set the world on fire in this game. He was okay. He was okay in the first half. He created a couple of chances that Chelsea couldn't put away, so maybe on a different day, maybe he walks away with an assist. But he was quite poor after half-time. He was actually the first Chelsea player who was substituted in this match. 63 minutes, Cole Palmer came on for him, and then Cole Palmer played on the right-hand side. Sterling came onto the left wing as well. And so there's a really interesting quote from Pochettino, which certainly indicates that he wants to see more from Modric, and all of this is perhaps maybe encouraging if we're hoping, fingers crossed, that perhaps Chilwell is going to come back into the team in this position. So this is the quote on Modric. He's improving. He still needs to learn. The Premier League is very fast. The speed of the game is so fast. I think it's about understanding the game better, trying to be more connected sometimes with the team. We need to give the time and to give the tools for him to improve during the season. We need to be tough in the way we are trying. It's about improving our efficiency in front of goal. And so, yeah, it's very much a call for Modric to do better, which we're hoping, fingers crossed, maybe might mean Chilwell comes back into the team. He did, of course, feature against Bournemouth. He came on off the bench on around 80 minutes, replacing Chilwell. He did actually have an opportunity to create an assist for Nicholas Jackson, and I suppose Jackson is also part of the problem here because Chilwell has been creating chances. Jackson hasn't been putting them away. If you've not had a chance to watch the video of people hypothetically increasing the size of the goal for that wayward Jackson shot at Bournemouth, do give it a watch because it is quite funny. I think in the end they had to increase the size of the goal by about 300% before it actually would end up theoretically in the back of the net. So that, of course, isn't helping here. But then Chilwell also got a booking as well, so it was just the 0 points. And so very much the question people are asking here is Chilwell going to start game week 6 against Aston Villa? And I'm here to tell you right now, I've got no idea, right? But I'm also here to tell you right now, we don't care, right? Because this particular game week 6, I think it's a game week that we can afford to delay a possible decision on Chilwell because it's not a particularly nice fixture. Now, I'm not necessarily suggesting that everybody keep Chilwell. It's all very team dependent. If you've got the opportunity to move him on perhaps to a Trippier because the rest of your team you're happy with, I don't think that's a bad place to be in. But for those of you who are perhaps on the fence, and you're thinking about maybe getting salary in your team, so you need some funds, and you therefore don't want to necessarily jump onto Trippier, you want to have a look at Botman, for example, and you've got maybe a Gabriel. I mean, that's sort of the situation with my team. As I said, I've recorded my team selection video already. Go check that out. If you've got a sort of similar team/dilemmas to me, hopefully it proves useful. But my point about this particular game week is that it is not one I would probably be fancying Chilwell in anyway. Here's a couple of reasons why. Aston Villa, so far this season, the only team to have produced more XG than them this season is Man City. So the chances of a clean sheet against Aston Villa, I think, are relatively slim. In terms of attacking returns, probably more likely. Aston Villa are kind of lower mid-table for expected goals conceded so far this season, so there's possibilities of some attacking returns here, but certainly this is not a fixture where I'm looking at Chilwell and necessarily expecting him to be tremendously explosive. However, game week 7 and game week 8, Chelsea are away at Fulham and they're away at Burnley, and I think it would be remiss of us to kind of dismiss those fixtures so easily. And here's a couple of reasons why. First things first, we'll keep it to Chilwell to begin with. Chilwell is an important player to Chelsea. He, at times has had the captain's armband, especially with Reece James not always being around. He is very effective both as a fullback, a wingback, and can be effective as a left wing. I mean, if he scores that goal against Liverpool, perhaps maybe everyone's view of his season is a little bit different. So the chances of him somehow losing his place permanently, I personally feel like is quite slim. Now, if he's going to go into a rotation, that of course does carry some concern. But based on the quality of the player and his role at the club, I would imagine that he's going to start probably more games than he's not going to. Now, if that's the case, this Aston Villa game gives us the opportunity to answer that question with a little bit more data, because if he comes back into the team against Aston Villa, that tells us what we need to know for Game Week 7 and Game Week 8. It means we're more likely to be able to trust him for Game Week 7 and Game Week 8, and we can probably get away with benching him if that's what you're thinking you might do against Aston Villa, because his chances of returns this week aren't massively high anyway. Alternatively, if he misses this game, it's also answered your question. You can't trust him for Fulham and Burnley. So I personally think that maybe holding on to him gives you the opportunity to maybe maximise output from those two games. Because those two games, as I said, we shouldn't be dismissing them, because let's now shift to the fixtures themselves rather than Chilwell. So Fulham and Burnley, how have they been so far for attacking returns? Well, not very good. If you measure all of the teams in the Premier League for minutes per expected goals this season, because of course Burnley and Luton have played one fewer game than everybody else, Burnley are the second worst in the Premier League for this. They record 1 XG every 132.3 minutes, and Fulham are the third worst, every 99.4. Then let's have a look at how Chelsea have been defending, and actually it isn't bad. They are the third best team for minutes per expected goals conceded so far this season. The only two teams with a better stat for that are Arsenal and Manchester City, who most people are putting down as the two title contenders. So Chelsea, on a good day, when they play teams that haven't really been producing all that much in the way of goal threat, should be keeping clean sheets. And that's what the numbers are telling us. And so when Chelsea's defence are going to be going up against those two very poor teams, I think the chance of a Chelsea clean sheet is high, which, again, is another reason why I'm feeling like, it would be nice just to give Chilwell one more week of Izzy back in the team to maybe capitalise on that clean sheet. Of course, the defences of those two teams also not been very good. So in terms of minutes per expected goals conceded, I've now flipped that little table that I've had on the screen there to be the worst teams for this instead of the best, and Fulham are comfortably the worst team for minutes per expected goals conceded, and then Burnley are the 7th worst. So we've got two teams that are very much in the bottom half of the table for conceding chances, and as we all know, Chilwell, when he is on the pitch, is going to be very central to those attacking returns. So let's have a look first at Chelsea's players for touches in the penalty box. Now, Chilwell actually ranks 3rd best for this amongst the whole team. The only two players with more touches in the box so far this season at Chelsea, Jackson and Sterling, which is not surprising. Sterling is someone who touches the ball quite a lot. Every possession involves a higher number of touches for him because he's sort of very tricky player with good technique. But yeah, only 2 players ahead of him at Chelsea. And what's also quite interesting is, of course, that minutes played, it is reduced. It is down a little bit because he, came off earlier than we'd like against Forest, and he did not start the game against Bournemouth and only played 10 minutes. So it means that his minutes per penalty box touch is quite high. And then what he's doing in those advanced positions also is worthy of keeping an eye on at Chelsea, compared with his Chelsea teammates. So let's start first with some creativity. So in terms of creativity, the most creative player so far this season for Chelsea is Enzo Fernandez. He's created 11 chances, 3 of them were big. But Chilwell is just behind him on 9 chances created, and 2 of them are big. And of course, with the reduced minutes, it's a relatively similar minutes per chance created between those two. He's joint second for chances created with Sterling, but he's creating a higher quality of chances. 2 big chances created, Sterling just the 1. And then let's move on to what he's able to do in terms of that goal threat. Well, in terms of shots in the box, the only 2 Chelsea players with more shots in the box than Chilwell so far this season, again, it's Sterling and Jackson. He's got 5 shots in the box. That's level with Fernandez, Colwell, and 1 more than Disasi. All of that condensed down into expected goal involvement actually puts Chilwell 4th best amongst Chelsea players. So he's supposed to have been involved in 2.15 goals, Enzo Fernandez 2.76, Sterling 2.87, and Jackson 3.73. And if you actually filter that to non-penalty expected goal involvement, of course, Enzo Fernandez is the penalty taker at the moment. Chilwell does actually jump above Fernandez. So in terms of open play, expected goal involvement, again, the only 2 players who are doing better for those numbers at Chelsea are Sterling and Jackson. And so what it means is, let's just go back to those fixtures. It means that if we get some information about Chilwell being able to consistently start games again, he is in a very strong position to do significant damage against Fulham and against Burnley to those that haven't got him anymore, because the clean sheet feels quite strong chance. They've both got poor defences, and he's an integral part of that attack when he's on the pitch. And so what do we need? We need more information about whether or not he's going to start. There's 2 opportunities for us to have that information delivered to us in the next couple of days. First things first, we're going to have a press conference ahead of that Aston Villa game. I'd like to think if the journalists there are worth their pay, they're going to ask him about Chilwell. And if we get an answer there, then you're going to find that information either on the Fantasy Football Scout Twitter account, or if you haven't got time to scroll through social media while at work, carve out a little bit of time to watch the team news video on Friday with Neil and Joe, where they will be dissecting all of the quotes that come out of that press conference. That will, of course, then translate into Neil's predicted team for Game Week 6. Very, very good at those. One of the best guesses of a Premier League team. Estimators feels too... there's more thought that goes into it than just guessing. It's one of the best in the business for that. So keep an eye on that as well. Now, the second obvious, it seems an obvious one. The second place where we're going to get more information about Chilwell's role on the team is, of course, the Aston Villa game itself, which is why I'm now leaning towards benching Chilwell, because I feel like I can get away with doing that for this game because it's not particularly favourable at either end of the pitch. And finding out what happens there. If it looks like he's back in the team and plays well, and then of course we'll then get a press conference actually ahead of the Fulham game as well. If those two, I suppose those 3 touch points, the 2 press conferences either side of the Villa game and the Villa game, give me a sense that he's back in the team for the Fulham and Burnley game, I think he could end up actually being a powerful differential because a lot of people would have sold him. So those numbers just make me think there's an opportunity there, which I'd like to give myself the best chance to lean into. And that's why I think I'm probably going to bench Chilwell rather than sell him for this particular game week. But let me know what you guys are thinking. Hopefully this video's helped you out with this particular subject. I know it's a tricky one because there's a lot of interest in Newcastle defence and possibly Man City as well. But yeah, if you found this useful, found this interesting, then give this video a like and hit the subscribe button and the bell notification so you don't miss a thing. And as I said, all of the tables you've seen here have come straight from the Fantasy Football Scout members area. So if you want access to all of this so you can play around with it in your own time, then do make sure you've signed up for membership ahead of the Game Week 6 deadline. Well, with that, I shall leave you fine, folks, to the rest of your FPL tinkering, and I shall see you next time.